So far, we should feel very good about the prompts because, at least at the very basic level, they give us an option to make sure that the prop type that we're expecting is going to match to whatever we have selected. So let's say again, if we would want to have the image, we're going to say, you know what, image needs to be a string. However, let me throw you a curveball that will going to force us back to the drawing board. And yes, there's a method to my madness. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead within the people, add one more dude. This could be a gal too, but in my case, I'm just gonna add dude. Now this is gonna be, let's say, number 3 ID. Then we're gonna change his name to Petero, or let's do just Peter. That's gonna be simple. I'm just gonna keep the age the same. I'm gonna say some info about Peter. That's going to be right here. And then let's maybe add different image. Let's say 87. And then I would like to head over back to my person component, copy and paste it. First of all, I would like to destructure it in the props, even though we haven't yet passed it in the props. I'm going to say info. Then this is obviously going to be my info about whatever person. And let's write it like this. And here, last but not least, I would like to also pass it here. So we're going to say info prop is going to be equal to a person and info. And now let's notice two things. And by the way, you know what? No, before we start looking at anything that's happening in our application, let me do this. Let me just comment out and let's say that we're not even receiving these props. So here's the kicker. Even though we have an option with the prop types right now, where we can be like, okay, so I'm going to be expecting these kind of props and I would want them to be a specific type. The thing is that we're only checking the props that are being passed, meaning if we're not even getting these props, or in this case, let's say only one of them is going to be getting the info, there's nothing we can do about it. We're just getting them as undefined. So there has to be a better option. And that better option is adding isRequired for our prop types. So even though not only we're looking for the prop that's being passed, we're also saying, yeah, and I am expecting this prop. And the way this is going to work, very simply, we just add isRequired. And let's do it obviously for all of them. This is just going to make sense. So get number isRequired. And once we save it, at least now in the console, we're going to be getting the warnings where it says, hey, you know what? You were looking for the image, but in fact, you're just getting undefined, meaning we're not passing that prop altogether. So that would be the first thing. And we can also set up something called default props, where, you know what, and by the way, let me add this here to the comment. This is going to make sense for your references later on. And what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, even though each and every person should be getting the image, let's say that some of the things on this headless CMS or external API, some of them might not have the image. So why don't we set up the default props? So at least something is going to be rendered, because in this case, probably this is not what you're looking for. You don't want to right away shoot for the alt attribute. So we can say like this, we can say person. And in this case, we don't need to install anything externally. We can just say default and the name is going to be here props. That's going to be the syntax. And then again, we're looking for the same things that we already had. However, the props here are just going to be passed. So they stay default. So what would that mean? Well, let's say for the image, why don't we copy and paste in whatever string that we had, or let's change it to something default. So let's say 45. And then this is going to be passed every time there's not going to be an image. I can also do names. So let's write, if there's no name, the name is going to be James Doe, just because I didn't want to put John Doe since I'm already inserting John everywhere. Age might be, I don't know, 34. And let's also write the info, the prop that we just added last. And let's say default info about the person. Now we're going to save it and notice what's happening. So if there's going to be the info about, let's say, Peter, then we're getting this specific Peter. Or if there's going to be no info, it's just going to be passed as a default prop about the person. So the same goes about the image. If there's not going to be an image for, let's say, person number 2, then we're going to be inserting our default image as well as the name. You can see that this is going to be James Doe. And this way, again, you can start structuring your applications where you're just not relying on the fact that the information is going to be there, but you have way more control over it.